Welcome back to another video. In this video I want to cover a few things that I would change or add to Sniper Elite Resistance to make it a little bit better. Most of these have to do with invasion mode. It's basically the only game mode I play. I don't know why, I just enjoy it so much, but here you go. I'm just gonna go all out on the first one. The first one is just an absolute dream. I wish it could happen, probably won't, but I miss this old original Xbox game called The Outfit. I would love to see that replicated. And I feel like this game has the potential to do something kinda similar. Maybe they could do a game mode. The Outfit had this local 1v1 mode where both of you were commanders of an army. You both had a sort of flag or objective to protect, and you would go around and you'd set up multiple bases around the map. You could place reinforcements, you could place tanks, you could place cannons, artillery, and then you could command them to attack each other. Sort of had a mixture of tower defense and strategy in it. I think Sniper Elite Resistance could pull this off with a capture the flag type game mode where you could place reinforcements around the map. So starting with a blank slate, open map, let's take Dead Drop for example. Say you had 5 minutes setup time and you could just run around the map, place your flag, hide it somewhere, and then put reinforcements on your side of the map. So the map could be split in half, luck of the draw, and you have to try and place reinforcements in a way that are going to either protect or distract the enemy from where your flag is actually hidden. Now, again, I'm just dreaming, but how cool would that be to be able to command some reinforcements and try to steal the other person's flag? Just overall utilizing this stealth gameplay in a way that I think survival mode just doesn't do it for me. Now that takes me into the more realistic points. One of my first points is maybe invaders could have other special abilities rather than only just being able to tag a cluster of NPCs at one time. Perhaps there could be an ability where you call in paratroopers. So if you have a map that's almost clearly wiped out and you happen to join in late in the game and the enemy has already cleared out most of the map, maybe you could use this ability to call in a few extra reinforcements that already come in on alert and can search specific areas. This could be a good balance against also the hearing mode that single player campaign players have. I think if you have them holding up in a building or something, being able to call in a few reinforcements and telling them, hey, search this area, whether it be tagging on the minimap or doing the binocular style pinpoint, it would be nice to be able to just send some troops in there and just kind of spice it up a little bit. Because when they hold up in a building, they do have a big advantage there. You can't get in close too often. In this clip, you can see that I worked my way across the map, got in real close, could see that the enemies knew kind of the general location of where they were, so I figured out they were in the building, and they were spamming this telephone over and over. So I figured if I stealth my way in, or close to it, I can catch him when he's on the phone again. But as I got closer, the listening mode ratted me out, and now this person knows exactly where I am. So you can see it clearly here. There was no way they would have known otherwise that I was there. I was pretty silent, I was crouch walking, but he was aiming exactly where I was behind the wall, ready to shoot me. I came out and kicked his ass anyways, but that's a whole nother story. Being able to call in some troops and commanding where they search an area would be a nice special ability to maybe even the playing field when we start to encounter more experienced players regularly on invasion mode. Another cool thing would be invaders having some of the same tools as the protagonist. So one of those is maybe invader decoys. How cool would it be for an invader to be able to set up a decoy? Does a sniper glint, makes the protagonist think that it's them, exposes them to shoot at it. Maybe when they tag it through binoculars, it registers as the invader. It might be another way to help an invader kind of suss out or distract a protagonist when they have a lot of things to their advantage. They can also complete a mission, which an invader can't do. So I feel like there's a few little extra tricks that maybe the invaders could have up their sleeves. One of the other additions I would really like is maybe some form of procedural generation. Maybe making multiple versions of the map, like 5 different ones where the objectives are different. Realistic way to do this could be a manual placement rather than procedural generation. Maybe the devs go in and they place a few different areas where that save or that objective could appear. That way at least the objectives aren't always in the same place every single time on a playthrough. Or I suppose you could use some procedural generation in a way that could vary where enemies are placed and where this objective is placed. Obviously I think enemy placement is a really big one, or maybe they could be just in different spots, different routes. That could just really change up the replayability in itself. But I think if the devs even just took like a little bit of effort and move the objectives, if you take this painting that you have to do in the church and you move it to maybe like 3 or 4 different locations as an option for the map, then you do the same with the other objectives, but they're not connected in any way. So that option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4 are always random and random for each objective. A variation in that alone, I feel like, would force players to investigate more of the map on the mission and wouldn't get missions done as quickly as possible when they're replaying them and they've already done them. It might also help inspire people to keep playing as the protagonist as the game goes on, because let's face it, like that way the replayability is just better. That takes us to another point. Games like Hitman. Hitman is a great game, and I love that in that game there's also custom missions you can set up. While I know Hitman is very crowded and there's a lot more people on the map than in this, and also innocent people as opposed to just all bad guys, I think that this game could somewhat benefit from letting the community create some missions. Maybe they can place certain targets or just place bounties or change the objective of the game a little bit. Maybe if you say you have to get that kill on that guy, maybe letting the community make a few different variations of the missions could help too, if the devs are lazy. And being able to invade those matches as well could be a nice variation, because then whether or not you decide to tell the invader what that person's objective is, I think that could kind of bring back that feeling of when the game was originally released and everybody was still learning the missions together. Or maybe the objective this time is you have to snipe them with a headshot or get them with a mine. I think if you make that maybe a difficulty setting or something, it's not your choice, you have to do it in order to complete the mission, could be kind of nice, because not all players are going to try and get creative and try to figure out different ways to eliminate the enemy. Another thing would be to just add more climbing spots in general. I love the Splinter Cell feel of this game, and I love that there's good climbing spots. The mansion has some of the most climbing spots, especially on the mansion itself, where you can scale up on 2 different sides of the window. You also have the secret pipe that goes to the French resistance room. Sometimes people hole up in there. So annoying. If you can't beat them to it and they're up there, that becomes a mess. What if they just add more of it around the map? It kind of just makes it a little bit more exciting when you have a lot more different routes to take on the verticality of the map. You can't just be forced to go to the stairs. That's why I like that mansion part so much, especially when fights go down there, because it's kind of nice to have so many different angles to come in from. Maybe the ones that were placed around the map were done with a certain intention, but for me, I feel like that would be kind of a nice way to spice it up a little bit. If you guys have any suggestions on how they should change the game, drop a comment down below so I can hear them out too. Pretty fun to try and get the community involved, and hopefully Rebellion is watching. See you in the next video.